no video today. Video has been canceled. That's actually not true. I'll show you what I am doing. My hard drive, my daily hard drive is maxed out, so I have to back up my footage. If you ever want to know what essentially really 10 years of footage storage looks like, well, it looks like this. It's just a bunch of hard drives. I have about 8 of them, and they're all about 5 terabytes a piece. And they're not all full, but most of them are pretty much coming up on it, but I have them logged. So like daily backup 1, I have the date in which I last backed it up on. This one was 8/14/23, so this is probably what is going to be, and there's 3 terabytes left over, so that'll probably be the one that I use. Some of these are marked full, and I have kind of general ideas, general bullet points as to what's on them, so that I know time ranges. So this is day 2072 to 2225. It also has wedding footage. So anyways, I have an internal storage drive on my computer, and I'd say every 2 to 3 months I have to clean it off, and so I back it up on one of these smaller drives. What I do with that footage, I have no idea what I will ever do with this footage. In the early the original 365-day project, I had this really stupid philosophy of deleting every single day as I made it, which was so dumb because I actually had a guy approach me, a politician, and he was interested in using some of because I had such an archive of New Hampshire footage at the time, especially because I was doing so much stuff that was like, just New Hampshire content. He wanted to buy the footage from me, and while I had some of it, it just was like this moment where I was like, well, that was stupid. I've deleted all of my footage, like all of that B-roll, and so I didn't have that much to give him. That's like a once in a career moment. I don't ever expect that I'll be asked to do that again, but anyway, so now I save everything. As one reason. I mean, also it's just digital storage is so cheap. Physical hard drive storage is so cheap now that it's like, well, why not, But what I'm really here to show you is I went to, if you've watched long enough, you know that in the fall of this year, I had an idea of starting to read microfilms, because your local library very likely has on microfilms every single newspaper issue stored. And I wanted to go down and start looking at old newspapers, because I happen to know that the Milford Library has been archiving the Milford cabinet since its inception, really since the late 1800s. But the library was undergoing some sort of HVAC thing, so I waited months and months and months. Well, I finally went there today to ask them about it, and they said, well, we can show you the old microfilm machine. It's really old and doesn't work very well, or you can go to this website where we have all of it digitized and you can access it online. I was like, well, that's even better, but also, I kind of was looking forward to like feeling like I was in some sort of detective movie in the basement of the library going through all of this microfilm. So let me show you a little bit what it is. It's pretty cool here. So they have on their website, it's through a portal, they have all of these newspapers with issues going back. If we go to the oldest one, which is the Farmer's Cabinet, that begins in 1802. And so you can just go back and look at January 1st, 1850, whatever, and scroll through your time and find your thing. So if you just open them up, they have all the scans here, and it's really quite interesting to look at. I was looking at some of these earlier on my phone, but I didn't have a chance to actually pull them up on my computer. But it's kind of cool to see what people had going on. It's a little bit difficult to read these particular pages, but what I do find interesting here is almost all of the issues of these newspapers. If you go to the front page, so this would be the front page of the Farmer's Cabinet, they all have a poetry section, and I remember I was told by somebody at the New Boston Historical Society years ago that poetry was, really big back in the 1800s. It was sort of their version of, like music in a way, how music is today with pop culture, because everybody had sort of their favorite poets, and, poetry was listed in newspapers. And it was very common for teenagers or young lovers to cut out their favorite poetry and paste it into old books over top of pages of old books and give it to somebody they like. So you might create a bunch of pages or a small book full of your favorite poetry that you're dedicating to someone that you like, much like a mixtape. And that was sort of a cool little epiphany where I was like, you know what, look at that. Some things never change, but they do at the same time. And it was cool. So going through these and just seeing how much poetry there is was kind of cool. And, you know, you can look like for sale, 2-story, I gotta go in here, you know, a 2-story house with about 1/2 station. I love these like directions they give. 2 roads north of the courthouse on Amherst on the Manchester Road, suitable for 2 tenants, the whole or 1/2 of the premises will be sold. It's kind of fun because like so much of history is kind of hard to access as a layman because it's something that you can't really experience, and so therefore it's really hard to have any sort of like connection to it. But that's what I personally have found so lovely about learning about your local history, is because you can learn about things that are in your realm, in your world, like things that you can actually relate to. Like this one is from 1922, but you can see an annual concert and ball, and then Milford Town Hall, and then something here on the right, which I'm kind of covering with my screen, but Drake and the Walkers Bombay Girls colored musical revenue. But then you come down here and it's like, the Drake and Walker Company have been selected from the best colored talent you will have ever had the pleasure to see. Colored talent, you know, like what an interesting thing. That on an advertisement right here in Milford. 2 shows daily. The company carries its own band and orchestra, free band concert in front of the theater daily. Where's that theater? I didn't know that there ever was a theater in Milford. Trousers for boys, young men, and men. 20% discount cash sale. Someone's selling trousers. And then down here at the bottom, Ober Clothing Company next door to the post office. Like, I know where that is, you know, and that's from the 20s. This sounds obvious and stupid, but I find this kind of stuff just really fun. It's like a real fun connection of universes. And so now, you know, I know where the post office is, and I know that there's a building to the right of it. Was that the Ober Clothing Company? Is that store no longer there? This Oh Goody Butter-Kissed Popcorn ad. And it is from G.A. Rizzi, I assume is the name of the store. And it's on 11 Nashua Street. We can go and look right where that is. 11 Nashua Street, Milford. It would have been somewhere in this building. There was this old butter-kissed ad. Better than candy for the kiddies and just the right for older ones. Only the perfect popped grains, then buttered just the right taste. No burnt kernels, no bachelors. The wonderful butter-kissed popper, now at work in our store, is turning out hundreds of sacks of this tempting popcorn, so fresh, crisp, and appetizing, untouched by hands. See this machine operate. Taste the delicious popcorn it turns out. You've never eaten anything like it before. Take a sack or a carton home tonight. It's fun because like that's very different than what the marketing would be now, where we want stuff to be handmade popcorn. But at this time, at the turn of the century, as you're coming around out of a time where everything was handmade, it was like, no, ew, don't touch it with your hands. Use this cool machine to come crank it out for you. But, you know, then there's just like the South is gaining on New England, cotton manufacturer supremacy of North threatened by intense competition. That's also cool because, you know, obviously we were a huge textile industry up here for so long, for 100 years, and in 1922 would have been pretty much the end of that. And then just Milford items. Harold Wilkins is confined to his home with a severe case of pneumonia. Good to know. Mrs. A.W. Turner has returned from an extended visit with friends in Massachusetts. Milford High School was defeated at basketball last week by Concord High at the capital city. Anyways, my reasoning for this, other than just being really fascinating, is I feel like there is a video opportunity here that is really fun for both me to make, and it kind of helps me dig through some of what interests me, but also I just feel like people, especially around here, would be interested to maybe if I took one of these stories and digested it a little bit and went to the location where it happened, or what it was talking about, and like read the article as if it was happening modern day. I think that could be just something different, because it's just, I'm always just really interested by sort of history that is relatable to you, because so many of the things that we learn about with history just doesn't always feel terribly relatable. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you. I thought it was really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to explore some more of those articles and hopefully find some stuff that is tangible and I can make into video form, and hopefully it's enjoyable for you to watch as it is for me to ultimately make. I'm going to go back to transferring footage.